So, starting this off, the wonders of editing. I can cut quite a bit of this. All right, so this would be my first video for what I'm effectively using as a video journal. Started a little later than I would have liked. You can see from the title, I'm tracking my progress coming back off of an L4-L5 Microdiscectomy, endoscopic surgery to go in and remove material from my L4-L5 disc, which was bulging and putting a lot of pressure on my nerve roots, which specifically was resulting in a lot of sciatic and peroneal nerve pain and lack of mobility and strength in my right leg and in my kind of hips, essentially preventing me from doing any sort of bridging or shrimping effectively, which is the main reason that I ended up opting for surgery at the end there. A little lead up, I guess, a little background. I've been training jiu-jitsu coming up on 3 years, almost 3 years now. I'm a blue belt. And I competed in just local tournaments relatively consistently for a while. Early this year, 2024, I started wearing down my back and then continued to train and did 2 competitions. I think really, if there was an injury incident, aside from wear and tear on those discs, it probably happened during one of my matches at a tournament, and then I had more matches after that, and then I competed one more time after that, as well as training consistently, and this would have been March and April, and then train, and then sometime late April I started going to physical therapy because I noticed all this nerve pain down my right leg. And just a lack of flexibility, couldn't bend over towards it. PT helped for a little while, and then I went back to training, went back to PT, went back to training, back to PT, stopped training for a little while to see if maybe I could heal up, but at that point it was too late. I should have stopped training in April or May and healed up at that point. I think I fully could have recovered if I had stopped going back every time I felt slightly better and I had, shifted focus for a while. But, I wanted to train. I wanted to compete more. I had stuff coming up. I wanted to drop weight. So that's how I ended up all the way down the line here, having to get surgery to kind of remedy those symptoms. I think it's really tough because I've talked to a lot of people in similar situations, and I've read up a lot, and it's pretty typical. You feel a little better from something and you figure that solves it, but particularly with these nerve issues, you're seeking, what is it? My glutes and my hip flexors and stuff started tightening up. My hamstring flexibility went down. It's like, well, maybe that's causing it. Maybe that's it. It's not actually my back, but it was always my back the entire time. Bulging disc since probably April. Try a new stretch, try a new PT, help a little bit. Towards the end there, I was on muscle relaxers, and that relieved a lot of the symptoms, but ultimately, the only way to heal a bulging disc is to give it time to reabsorb and stop putting strain on it, as far as I'm aware. Or if it gets to the point where that would just be, you've pushed it so far, then surgery becomes, a viable option. The end result is very similar, funnily enough. It's just in my time of recovery now where I can't train, I'm at least more comfortable than I would have been taking the training off without the surgery in some ways. It's interesting. I can see why a lot of people would opt not to do surgery. I think it was the right choice for me. Obviously, I did it. But especially earlier on, if I had the patience and the self-control to stop training every, 5 days a week, that would have been a much, much better approach. And I could have been back training by now with maybe only 2-3 months off, maybe, earlier in this year. So hindsight 2020, but right now we're coming up on 3 weeks out from the surgery. I should have done this earlier. I wanted to have this kind of record mostly for myself, starting from an early point, and I messed that up. I have some notes and things like that I can reference back to, but we're trying to be consistent, maybe once a week or something like that, putting a little bit of my thoughts together and tracking my progress. So going in, severe sciatic pain, couldn't, reach past my knee or anything, painful to sit for any amount of time. Couldn't do anything effective in jiu-jitsu without taking a bunch of muscle relaxers, and then I couldn't do anything effective in jiu-jitsu because I was on a bunch of muscle relaxers. So went in, got the surgery, woke up, and immediately, even though I was coming out of anesthetic, I could feel searing, terrible, terrible pain through my right leg, into my back, down to my foot. So they pumped me full of some pain relief drugs. Couldn't stand without assistance, so I was wheeled around the wheelchair. A couple hours later, I was using a walker, took that home. By the next day, I was using a cane to walk around. Day 3, I slept weird, woke up, and was probably back in the worst pain of my entire life, literally laying in bed, sobbing, crying uncontrollably, unable to move. Popped some more pain pills, and eventually just fell asleep crying. So I think that was because I slept on my stomach, which I thought was going to be more comfortable, and it was temporarily, because of the way it protected my legs from extending in a way that was uncomfortable, but definitely was a bad idea. I should have been sleeping on my back, but I was also very loopy with drugs. But since that day, I have not had really any significant pain. Definitely a lot of soreness, tightness in the low back at the surgery site. But that's been getting better and better. And the big thing for me past few days has actually been committing myself to activity. So in that first week, I got the surgery on a Thursday. By the next Thursday, I was back at the jiu-jitsu gym, just to essentially say hi effectively. Did I go back a week out? I think I went a week and a day. I went back. I don't think I went back on a Friday. I'm pretty sure I did not go the day after, but maybe I did. It's a little bit blurry. I was on a lot of Oxy for a week. Luckily not on that anymore. Really just some Advil every once in a while. But yeah, getting back in the gym. I've been going now consistently that I can drive again. I've been going every day that I would have gone before and taking notes. And then when it comes to the live sections, or the second class that I normally would have done, I'm trying to get into the gym and I started lifting weights again, and that's been really good. And then in the past week, I've committed myself to really focusing in on stretching and getting that. I've had such tight hamstrings for so long because of these nerve issues, this herniated disc, and I think all of that compounds and led to me not being able to put things on my right leg the right way, which led to more stress on my right side of my low back and just made the issue worse and worse over time. So I'm really committing myself to getting that flexibility back. Just today I was able to get back into a toe touch. I can bend down and touch my toes from standing, which is really exciting. I haven't been able to do that since like May. So there's definitely progress, the actual muscles need to heal up still. And I want to work on this flexibility a bit more to where I can do it more comfortably. A lot of hip flexor flexibility is lost, so I need to get that back. I want to be able to sit on the ground and not fall backwards, and stretch my feet out. But yeah, just working on that day by day, getting back in the gym, watching, observing, taking notes, and we're going to see how the progress goes from here. I'll try and keep track of it, but the plan is to get back into classes next week or the week after possibly. And then once we hit that 3 or 4 month mark out from the surgery, I can start doing a little bit of actual active. When I say classes, I mean like drilling, just moving through the moves, position, but no live training. And then maybe at that 3 or 4 month mark, I'll be able to get back into really light live training. And then at the 6 month mark, apparently you're about as healed as you're ever going to be from this specific type of surgery. The back muscles themselves will actually be healed up basically 100% sooner than that, especially if I keep active and I keep stretching and engaging them. It hurts a little bit. It's makes them sore, but it's not bad pain. It's that kind of exercise pain, like doing a tough bicep curl kind of thing, instead of like, I'm injuring myself. But then the 6 month mark, that's where that disc itself should be fully sealed up. Due to they had to cut into it, and that leaves kind of the outer shell exposed, and that's what risks that reherniation with strain. So trying to put things off, take it easy, take it slow. I feel pretty good. There's days I'm in the gym, even last week, where I was like wanting to get out there and roll around watching the open mat, but obviously terrible idea. So not gonna do that. But feeling good, feeling positive. Touching my toes today was awesome. Without like pain, without really pain, just like, a nice stretch in the low back. But I feel like that would have been crazy nerve pain before, and that's just not there anymore. So that's awesome. I think that's basically all I've got to say for now. Like I said, we're in the 3rd week. It'll be 3 weeks exactly on Thursday, and today's Monday. And at that 4 or 5 week mark, we're going to get back in those classes and start rolling around, start moving through some moves, and sitting out the live section, and just go from there. And the timeline lines up. Maybe we'll compete in November. It's September right now. Probably not. We probably won't compete in November, but I've never been a particularly patient person, and I'll talk about it more maybe in the next video, my plans as far as what adjustments I think I'm going to make in my jiu-jitsu going forward, what my game plan is going to be, and how that differs from what I've done in the past. And in my head, the baseline is like, okay, I'll be 30 soon, but I'm going to pretend that I'm in my 40s going forward. I think I've aged my back, an effective 10 years at least. So I have to treat it like that. It doesn't mean I can't be successful. It doesn't mean that there's not a way to work positions and get success, but it just has to be a different approach. It has to be a reasonable approach where I'm, not pretending like I'm 20 when I'm going to be 30, but kind of pretending like I'm at least 40 when I'm going to be 30. All right, we'll cut this together, and that'll be part 1 of hopefully a roughly weekly series. After a while, maybe we'll get in some rolling footage and kind of I can actually show what I mean when I'm talking about these adjustments that I'm going to make in terms of how I'm going to roll. Thank you for watching. It should just be me watching these, but you never know. If you did stumble upon this, thinking about this specific connection, I know there's a lot of folks out there who do jiu-jitsu and have these bulging disc issues and have considered surgery. I would never recommend one way or the other for anyone, but I will be happy to share my own personal experience. I know that was helpful to me watching other folks in the lead up. Although I know there's a pretty big gap in that crossover, more so than I thought of folks who have done jiu-jitsu, who are looking to get back into jiu-jitsu, and we're also having these issues with the low back, and specifically the recovery after surgery. So if that's something that finds you out there, then